And welcome back to Cheche. We want to begin with a clarification. We've taken a look at the editorial by the Saturday Nation, which Senator Mokamen referred to at the beginning of this program and claimed was basically, there were excerpts lifted word for word and used in the State of the Nation address by Code Leader Raila Odinga. That, in fact, is not the case. It was not copy-paste. However, it does echo similar sentiments, but it was not copy-paste. So we move on now with our discussion, and you wanted to respond to what TJ was saying at the break.
Just on that statement, so that you don't misquote me, I never said word by word.
You said that
no,
he said
paragraph.
Do we need to play back the paragraph?
No, you don't need to.
Because we can. We can.
What I said is that, what I meant, if I put it that way, is that the statement is the same. It is similar to the one that was put on national.
That is not what you said.
No, that's not what you said. Well, if I said word by word, then I retract. But the point is that it is similar to the one of second, whether it by tone.
Now you say you are clarifying. We take that in.
We take the clarification.
Yes, and the words and the tone.
You have withdrawn your earlier allegation.
No, let me say the one I will not withdraw. I have not withdrawn the fact that it was written. They were both written by the same person. Now let me go to
again. That's another allegation.
That is another allegation.
Which should not be allowed to pass.
No, but I said I am.
What evidence do you have?
I have said I'm willing.
This is a newspaper.
No, wait.
Are you saying the nation writes speeches
for the first time, for the first time on national TV? I take legal responsibility for that.
For your allegation that the statement that
the editorial there was written
by the same person who wrote for Raila the statement.
Which means you are claiming that nation gets made
I am just saying for the record, and I want to repeat. The person who sponsored the editorial on second.
Sponsored?
Yeah. Let me just, can I complete? The person, let me just say this. No,
editorials in nation are not sponsored.
Makali, speaking of annoying editorial,
can I complete?
I've worked for nation for years.
Can I complete?
You must know that you're a fellow journalist. Obviously, they're going to take it.
But I've just wanted to say,
qualify, because this is getting very serious motives.
Absolutely, and that's why I said I will take political responsibility and legal responsibility.
And we want to exonerate ourselves of your statement.
And as a person who in the past has taught the law of defamation, I take responsibility.
And what we're saying is that the editorial was sponsored. You are claiming that the editorial in the nation was sponsored. You are claiming that the editorial was sponsored. The editorial was sponsored.
Can I complete? The editorial of 2nd January by Nation was sponsored and written and sponsored by the same person who wrote the statement for Raila Odinga. I take responsibility for
it.
No.
I think Makali,
that one will unfold.
Makali,
we leave it to him.
I think we will leave it to him to bear his cross.
Yes,
and we have nothing to do with it.
All right, fair enough.
Kenyans know me. I don't say things recklessly. I take responsibility for it.
Kenyans know you. How about we leave it there? Okay.
Let me now go to the pledges.
Please, thank you.
You know, TJ has talked about the pledges of Galana, the pledges of all these other places that he's talking about the laptop and so forth. But you know, as I said earlier, it is Kenyans who are going to judge us before the next elections, and they're the ones who are going to give us a scorecard, and they will mark our report card. The point we are making is that we have achieved a lot in the security sector, and I have enumerated them. We have achieved a lot when it comes to electricity. We have achieved a lot when it comes to health. In fact, in terms of equipping the health facilities, in terms of our maternities being accessed by the women, we have achieved a lot in so many sectors, including giving ways of funds to youth and women. So the point is that there are a few areas that we are yet to complete, and we agree. I have agreed to the question of the laptop. I have said on the Galana, me as Kipchumba, has no information about it, either because I have not visited Galana or I have not interested myself in looking at that issue. I was not prepared for it. But it doesn't mean that and TJ has said there's information in Parliament. I don't need to doubt him. If that information is there for us to audit and see it. Two is to
You're not interested in the issue of food security.
I am interested. I'm saying if that information is there, it's for us to look at it in Parliament. And for me, and you cannot also assume that Kipchumba will be knowing everything.
I mean, this is feigning ignorance conveniently. This matter was even in the Auditor General's report. We have discussed it here before. You cannot say you don't know. It's a major project.
Auditor General report, I have said, is their reports. An Auditor General report is not final. It's a report that comes to Parliament for us to look at it and be able to advise Kenyans whether or not what the Auditor General is saying is true. Two is to say that when it comes to the questions of dialogue, it has been consistent.
You mean Parliament has powers to dismiss an Auditor General's report?
They have power to
casting aspersions on the integrity of...
You know that, Cheche, you don't want us to go back to that issue.
Fair enough.
Let me confirm the issue of dialogue. I think, as I said earlier, it was not by accident that Kalonzo was not there, in that press conference.
He's dialoguing on the side?
Not that. It's because he has realized over time that this vitriol, this kind of direction that we are going, that's not. Because you remember, it was in the other time among the people who announced that we must make the government more inclusive. And dialogue that were insinuating that time, they wanted to join government. I want to make it succinctly clear.
You know where he was?
I make it succinctly clear. Even if he was out of the country, doesn't matter.
Again, you see.
He was succinctly clear. I want to say succinctly clear here. But even if he was in the country, he has been avoiding that kind of conversation in the recent past. But two, I want to say this, that when it comes to the question of Raila vis-a-vis that statement, he was actually insulting the rest of Kenyans. He was insulting Kenyans that, all of us are working with Kenyans. We are attending Harambee in churches. We are going to the mosques. Those are places where people invite us. He talked about the deputy president. He talked about the question of whether he's the one who is refusing dialogue or not. They never asked dialogue with the deputy president. They had with the president. And the president said that he's willing any day to listen to every Kenyan, not just CORD. Every Kenyan. There is no big brother, like TJ was trying to say, that we are the big brother. There is no big brother in Kenya. We're willing to listen to a villager as much as we listen to a politician, so that we can all of us. But if that dialogue is in vain, is for purpose of us, is some kind of a circus to take the president round, we have said no. Third and finally, is to basically say the narrative of CORD is known. It started by saying it is not possible for a Kikuyu and a Kalenjin to work together. That is before elections. I was here. We debated those issues. We said it's possible to unite Kenyans. Even those who are perceived to be enemies, it's possible to work together. When we got to office, they said it will not be possible for URP and TNA to work together. They will fight the way ODM and PNU did. We defeated them. They went further. They said it is not possible for the president and the deputy to work together. We defeated. They realized they are working together. Now, what they are trying to do now is the last desperate step. They keep going back to the question of dividing us, but also they want now to say, because we are working so well, we are uniting so many Kenyans, we are taking Kenyans back to the KANU regime. I want to tell them that if there are people who are actually disorganized in terms of their elections, political organization, it's the court side. We are more organized, and we know where we are going.
And because you brought elections, let's now go to that tone. Let's listen to what Raila had to say on, election fundraising, poaching and buying of MPs, and the allegations that Jubilee is preparing to rig the next general election. Listen, then we'll talk.
Back to the 1990s, when members of parliament were paid heftily to defect from opposition to the governing party. Harambee, as a tool for control, is being perfected once again and spearheaded by the president and the deputy president using stolen public money against express provisions of the Constitution that public officers shall not engage in Harambees.
We are compiling a lifestyle audit of the deputy president. I've just been wondering how a hustler can afford to pay 10 million shillings a week, and we shall be asking the Anti-Corruption Commission to audit the deputy president whether these are the proceeds of Eurobond being used in political tourism by the deputy president, who is not
which they are unable to account for. You have already paid over 25 billion shillings interest, yet they are unable to show a single project that the money went into. The only thing it is capable of and is doing now is to set up the machinery for stealing elections.
So let's tackle those issues piece by piece. And Mutegi, the point that the opposition is making is that it's not possible for somebody like in the capacity of the deputy president who earns a salary that is of public record to be able to make the kind of contributions he's making, and that therefore requires a lifestyle audit as to how he's able to secure that kind of funding, and that the only way that such a leader would be able to have such funds to give out would be if it is the proceed of corruption, and that third, anyone who is defecting from the opposition is being bought by Jubilee, and that fourth, the grand plan is to rig the election. Are these reasonable assumptions to make?
What I know is this, that during President Kibaki's time, the question of Harambe, that grant giving and do and down, there is the Public Service and Ethics Act, which disabused that one.
Right.
We are seeing a resurgence of that big money donations. Not only do we need to audit the Deputy President, we also need to audit like the Chief Justice or public servants. The declaration of wealth that they do in closed envelopes and locked in cupboards should stop. Public servants must be able to account for their lifestyle and the property they have.
Is it possible that the money he donates is contributions from other people?
I would not know. But to me, it's outrageous. Even if you are getting money from donors.
Financials, yes.
What are you? What example are you setting? Why is it that Kibaki never used to have this kind of money? Why? Or was Kibaki mean? Why is it that?
Was he?
Yeah, we didn't see that. Because what you had, when during my time, you go to any chief's place.
Right.
Any place you go and for public service, you want a license for anything, you will find books there. You go to a large board meeting, you find you must contribute. That is the example they are setting now. I think it's horrible. Buying loyalty. Yes, it is not good.
And do you only need to buy loyalty if you haven't delivered?
If the government wants to do something, it should be done through. In fact, at one time we used to hear Kibaki, Indians would go to his state house, give him money. He said, no. That money, give it to some ministry.
Donate it to a ministry.
Yeah, to a ministry. To be channeled through. We don't want this business giving huge sums of money.
You're also making another point, which is about separating the person and the office.
It means everybody. Anybody, every public servant. I don't want to go to a chief police be asking before I get a license. I must contribute. Because it will come down to that.
Mutegi, I beg your pardon. Makali, I beg your pardon, sir.
Well, I think the issue of the use of money in politics really is a serious problem in this country. And it's unfortunate that the more prominent, visible, donor of money through public arambes or, philanthropic activities is the deputy president. Yet, again, it's around the same person that we are having this spiraling tales about corruption. He needs to actually account to the public in a manner that is satisfactory, that explains the source to the satisfaction of the people. It is not adequate to say you're getting from donors, as Mutegi is suggesting, because even the Public Officer Ethics Act, I think, or some law like that, requires that if you get donations or gifts, they are deposited with the
public service. Yes, correct. Correct.
So there can be no explanation like that, such as we had Alfred Mutua saying last night here on a big question, that the money he used to launch his Chap campaign was from out there, from people. It fell from trees.
Come on, Obama does it all the time.
No,
$5
there
contribution.
is something called fundraising for a political campaign is going to happen, and that is declared publicly, and there's a kitty and money is put in for a political campaign, and that is going to be a subject of this for campaign financing bill that is coming. So that matter of corruption and linkage to politics and how politics is therefore being influenced by corrupt money needs to be tackled. And I'm sure somebody's going to be tracking these things out here. One of these days we'll see statistics of how much money somebody put out over what period of time,
yes.
and accountability.
Let me move you to the question of the buying of opposition MPs. You know, because the beginning of the statement basically says Jubilee should not tell us that now they can do anything different. They've had 3 years to show us that they can do something and that haven't. And so therefore, as the opposition, you know, give us a chance to do it. But if opposition members can be bought, because that's what the statement is also claiming, that you are buying opposition members. How loyal are they to the cause?
You know, first of all, I don't think that that can hold, because the matter of being bought is a matter of somebody offering you space and accommodation on this side as opposed to that side. It is the individual souls, MPs or whoever politicians they are, that are being attracted to go that side, maybe because they see, you know, there's a happier life there than this side.
No, you said political bribery, buying opposition MPs. MPs were paid heftily to defect from the opposition. That's a quote.
Yes, yes. Again, I'm saying there is quantifying that buying part is, as we said, the currency of politics in this country is money. And people are looking for where they can get money to do their politics. Selfish interest is driving them to get re-elected.
But what
to get back to parliament.
What do you say about a cabinet, a person from the opposition? Who is appointed cabinet minister, and you are from the opposition, and you accept. What does it mean? You have no faith in the philosophy of your political party.
Of course, these politicians don't have such a rock solid.
They should turn down the opportunity to serve the country as cabinet secretary. For instance, the current internal security minister, you should have turned that down. An opportunity to serve Kenyans because he's an opposition MP. That's what you're saying. Mutengi, no. CJ, don't help him. Let him respond.
If you believe in the principles of your party, there is no way. There is no way you can say, now I accept that. What would you do with whatever you believed before?
Yeah, can I say? Yeah, can I?
Yes, please, sir.
You know, and what we are crying for are ethics, ethical conduct, integrity. This is in the base. This is the foundation of all this discussion we are making. Harambes have risen to the level that the recipients themselves, the churches themselves, have said, "Don't give us those millions, because those millions could be blood money for all we care." I saw a prelate say that now even us as a church, we have to monitor you when you come with your 10 millions and you start giving around here. The point is that we have a new constitution. Before we didn't have these things, but there is chapter 10, and then there is the Integrity and Ethics Act and so on, which has said that you can't even receive donation if you are a public servant, even if you are a state officer. We are poor people, my brother and I, and we are supposed to be seen as poor. That is how Wananchi will have some confidence in us. So when therefore you see a person that has a payslip home, that we can tell how much money he earns. And we are living in the same country with him, so we know what kind of businesses he does. If he is a guy who is involved in manufacturing business, we know the kind of metals that is bending and is not bending. But a guy who cannot even show to the satisfaction that you can raise 10 million, you know, when you have to raise 10 million every week, that means it is a surplus. Your business is supposed to give you that 10 million every single Friday to be able to throw it, or maybe not throw it, but give it to the poor as it is. Now, these are the questions that we are asking, that political buying. Somebody went to the public and he was voted to be a member of parliament for Waraka. Somewhere midstream, now you have been asked by Jubilee to join the government because they think that you have brains to offer, which at that time they didn't think you do. The ethical standard, Mutegi, if I may help, is you go back to your people and you say, you gave me a mandate to serve you, but now I am accepting a mandate to serve all Kenyans.
CJ, let me challenge what you're saying, just to the extent that you've just come from talking about dialogue, like on some issues, we're going to help you, let's sit and discuss them. Is there no room in politics for bipartisanship for the greater good of Kenyans, especially on a question like security? I imagine that the opposition, who have really, if you like, they really spearheaded the issue of, you know, we need to be secure, would be willing to contribute their brains in the spirit of dialogue
you have hit the nail on the head.
You know,
on questions of security, on questions on security, as well as questions of election. These are issues that we have to bring we have to have a bipartisan approach. We don't just want to flippantly throw it that, oh, there is National Assembly, they will bring laws, there is the executive. These are things that I have to go out and ask the Fourth Estate, what do you think about election laws?
So how does it become an issue of ethics by the president appointing an opposition member to a cabinet docket? How does it then become a...
Poaching world over has been an instrument that incumbency has used to weaken the opposition, I mean the dissenting voices. I mean, you know, you can look at it, there is one way of looking at it and say, oh, the best brains are coming from opposition. By the way, I'm glad that he sees the sense that good brains are coming from the opposition. But there is a way in which what you are doing, yes, there is a way in which you are weakening our resolve as opposition to be able to do our work.
So you want to help, but you don't really want to help.
No, we just want to do what our job is. I was voted in. Let me do my job. But if you think I'm good, I'll go back to Raraka people and tell them, oh guys, now I think I'm accepting a bigger call. That is the rules of the game in this business we play.
If you are appointed cabinet secretary, would you take it?
Yeah, I will take it, but I will tell Raraka people that now this is what
then
you
the end justifies the means. Let me.
Right, exactly.
And I have to respond to. I don't know why TJ is asked to spend too much time. It's already been said by his party leader. I was supposed to respond to that statement. And so all these people have buttressed the same issue using a long time. The point...
show them that you can do better. Use a short time.
No, why should I use short time when I'm responding to all of them, including their principal?
Okay, use a long
now,
time.
the first thing is to say that, first of all, Raila is not a poor person. Let's start from there.
That one I've said.
His riches skyrocketed after joining Kano in 1999.
Presidential candidate.
He is in top 10 of the richest people in this country. So his desire not to donate or give is not about in the absence of having. It's about being mean. And if he is willing to transfer his meanness to the state, he should wait for the time he becomes the president. And let me say that second...
Or maybe he knows the people love him and he doesn't need to pay them to earn their loyalty.
I'm just coming there. The second issue is that William Ruto, Uhuru Kenyatta, many other Kenyans were making donations way before they even thought that they would be president. Raila Odinga, for avoidance of doubt, used to go for Arambes with William Ruto and sometimes used to request for his donation or to ask him to look for money for him to give in as a donation. Raila Odinga announced in public television that we do fundraising for teachers. Raila Odinga was with me in a fundraising just the other day of a common friend who lost a mother. We were in that fundraising. So to say that, you know, some people, because they have no a foundation of giving to themselves, they have never been in a religious, you know, whether it's a Muslim or a Christian, who say that you must give. People who we do not know their religion's inclination.
But I gave.
Some people, let me just complete. Let me complete. The Bible says everybody gives according to his ability. And the point
that's what we're asking.
Can I complete? I listen to all of you all the time. So if you keep...
Please respond to the substantive point. It's about ability.
I haven't reached there. So the question is... okay.
Ability.
No, not ability.
Everybody according to his means.
Yes, exactly. Yes. That everybody is supposed to give according to his means. So the point we are driving here is that Raila is a principle of doublespeak. Next week he will ask for a fundraising. The other week will say it's not good to give because he's unable to be generous. Some people give to witchcraft. Others give to church. You know, you cannot say that, you know, because you are giving at night, those of us who give during the day are doing the wrong thing. Two, I want to point out that Arambes, and I want to tell you, Mutegi, Arambes, you do not invite yourself to Arambes. The deputy president, myself and others are invited by the church, by religious organizations to go for that Arambe. They even tell you we are trying to achieve this target. If you have your friends, come with them. Whether it's my place or in any other place. And we all of us go for Arambe. The point we need to point out is that William Ruto, and I think Anyang Yong has confused being a hustler and being poor. William Ruto, being a hustler, means that he used to hustle to sell chicken in the streets in Eldoret. Now he sells chicken in his hotel in Langata. He used to run. He ran an insurance company and other things. And he has said publicly that he's willing to carry out a lifestyle.
So he makes 10 million by the sale of chicken.
He's still selling chicken.
Yes,
just from different places.
Can the person asserting that position that he had in his lifestyle audit start by himself? Tell us, why did you have to build a 1.2 billion house in Kisumu? You know,
it's
start
about
from there. Two, there are two things here you have talked about. Two, it's an insult on members of parliament. The fact that you cannot win, you cannot make an argument to keep people to your political side, does not mean that you insult them that they have been bought. I think the greatest insult I've ever seen from a political leader, because that's why I asked earlier, how much did he pay William Ruto to cross from Kano to join ODM? How much did he pay Balala, Charity Ngilu, all those people that joined the same political party?
Maybe he did.
When it is not working for you, when it's not working for you, you say it was bought. When it's not working for you, you say it's bought. When it's working for you, you say it's democracy. I think that's the contradiction you are.
But you haven't told us this big money that Ruto has made over the last few months that makes him.
But he said he's willing to subject himself to a lifestyle audit.
Finally, we have said that the greatest insult I've seen yesterday on TV is to insult our churches and the mosques. Honestly, the Bible makes it mandatory. Cheche is a Christian. He goes to church. It's mandatory for us to give 10% to start with. The fact that you are not able to give does not mean that it's not written in the Bible. 10% of your salary, it doesn't matter what you are going through, you must give it to God. And then the others to offerings, the others to the poor. So there are so many people who are donating their money, but they are not being questioned.
He's tithing in public.
That's a good one, I think. I think that's a good one.
And the Bible says that blessed is the hand that gives than the one that receives. It is not a surprise. It is not a surprise that politically speaking, the deputy president is more blessed than other people.
Oh dear. Now we must come for a final round of comments, gentlemen. We are absolutely out of time, but sincerely thank you. So I'm going to ask you to be very brief with your views, as again we're out of time. And if you would, just very briefly touch on the question of bringing out the allegation that this is preparation to rig the election. Was that fair comment? Was that an admission that the opposition does not see itself doing very well in the next election? Or was it based on some sort of reasonable doubt? Perhaps I'll start with you, Mutagisa, and we'll come round.
I said even yesterday, even today, that I don't think Jubilee is preparing to steal. There may be corruption. There may be to steal elections. I have no. Whatever I'm seeing now is not. Unless they say, of course, if we don't change the electoral commission, which they want, that will be a way of stealing. But if you say they are stealing money so that they can run that money to do elections, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
TJ?
And rigging of elections begin with preparations to that election. It begins from how do you issue out ID cards. It begins how therefore do you register your populace. And what do you think is the validation number that in a population such as we have of millions you must reach so that an election which happens in that country may be considered internationally or as best practice to have been an election of the people. Now, you have seen that the question of issuance of ID has been a nightmare for many Kenyans. And this does not matter whether you are coming from Mount Kenya or whether you are praying in the coast or whatever it is. There is something which is terribly wrong with the department that is giving just a piece of paper. And you know, we all have cards that we open doors with, and they are made within 2 days, and you have them and go home with them. What is so difficult about ID, number one? Number two, election is something which we must approach in a bipartisan manner. It is the government that has the instruments to be able to say, now we are heading for the election. These are the election laws, or this is how we are going to work all this thing. There must be a way in which Moi, with all his failures, at least he had the temerity to bring what became the IPPG, so that he brought the country together. Uhuru has not shown sign at all that the opposition, the church, the fourth estate, the journalists, or anybody else who has a stake in election process can also get to some table where they can discuss.
But you see, now you say we went for tea again.
Well, yes, when tea is served, that becomes good. But that's in brief. Those are the recipes of rigging a very good election. My last comment is that this is a new year. I'm delighted to be in this year, because this year is the year of promise. And I can tell you that we have put on the table what we think our people will judge us by. And we will drive these processes, and we will not flinch. We will never flinch at all, and we will not be cowed to make the points. And we say these things with clear conscience. With clear conscience, we mean well to everybody. We don't mean ill will, and we don't insult anybody. My brother.
First of all, I'd like to say that the court principle has sensed the defeat. What he's preparing is an explanation for that loss. So he wants a situation where after the next year election, he will say, I told you in January last year that we were going to lose. So which is a good thing, because it is not necessary for him to continue putting a lot of expectation on his supporters. I think slowly he is managing their expectations by saying we will lose members of parliament, but the explanation is that they have been bought. We will lose the elections, it will be been rigged, and so forth and so forth. The second issue is to basically say that this is not a year of promise for us, it's a year of consolidation and delivery of all the remaining promises that we made to Kenyans. We will focus on development issues. We know that there will be a lot of noise from the court side, and this is my advice to my brother TJ. This year, reduce the noise and give Kenyans alternative policy positions. Don't just say Uhuru this, Ruto this. You know, you spend a whole 2 years, 3 years discussing William Ruto. I think now it's for your time to say, if you have office, you will say this on security, you will say this on energy, you will say this on laptops, instead of spending so much time talking about Arambe of William Ruto, which house he has built, which place he was tomorrow, calling him political tourist because he has invaded regions which you thought in your ethnic calculation that they are exclusively yours. And finally, I want to promise Kenyans that the one thing we will not also flinch is uniting Kenyans. We will not allow an inch a campaign that will be run on us versus them, on 41 versus 1, or on 40 versus 2. We must run a united, organized political agenda that is based on issues, that is going to be integral in uniting Kenyans, and a bonus is winning elections.
All right, Makani.
Well, I think this is going to be a very critical year in terms of the preparations for next year. A lot of politics is going to be played out here. It should be everybody's interest to reduce the escalation of hostility and tension within the political environment. And that is both for CORD and Jubilee. I think the issues that Raila Odinga raised in his statement are very fundamental, and I think they are shared. It would be dishonest to say that these issues are not real and Kenyans are not thinking about them or sharing his views. They are. I think the target or recipients of those of that statement ought to consider those things and act on some of them. But more importantly for me, I think the Jubilee administration ought to try as much as possible to resist the temptation to undermine the Constitution through legislation and actions that don't seem to be in sync with our Constitution, which is our rock as a country. And going forward, I think that the electoral environment needs to be fixed this year. And talking to Senator and TJ, there should be an attempt to build consensus around the electoral environment, whether it's legislation that need to tie these things up, so that this year is spent more on negotiating and agreeing to set the basis for next year, so that we don't leave too many things too late. And then we begin to get statements such as the one that the former Prime Minister raised, which in my view was a bit strident, and it didn't ring well. It rang like the last 3 months to 2013. I mean, the ground is still open.
The tone is still
the tone was sort of there was despair in that tone, which ought not to be. I think there's enough ground to negotiate, interrogate these issues, and find a bearing going forward.
My sincere thanks to my panel today, Mutegi Njau, David Makali, Senators TJ Kajwang, and of course Deputy Majority Leader in the Senate, Kipchumba Murkomen. Happy New Year to you all. It's certainly going to be an eventful one. I'm Ann Kiguta. Have a wonderful day.